Yo, what is going on YouTube? This your boy Kamen Zero Spike back again once again, and today people oh lord, back again once again, and today we're here for Zenkaiger episode 47. This is a great episode, guys. This is a great episode. It was it was the right amount. I should have drunk some water before I did this. It was a great amount. It was a great amount of silly. It was a great amount of serious, and we got the it was a pretty well done episode, especially with the Stacy stuff, but we'll get to that. So basically we start off with everybody back at the candy, basically back at home base. We're back at home base, and we see everybody getting ready to take the fight to the Toji Tendo, and we see the god, or whatever you want to call him. He's here, and he ends up they call him, you know, they get a pep talk from Grandma and Seichan, and they call God. Wow, they call God. Well, he calls himself God, so I don't know what to say. But they end up calling him, and he says that hey, they call him and says, all right guys, now we can go ahead and go to the Toji Tendo. He possesses Majin this time, so now he's basically possessed everyone except for Kaito and Juren. So they ended up going through this portal, and they end up just ransacking this place. They end up going through there and start ransacking all these Kikinoids, trying to get to trying to get to Bokuwas. While they're heading there, we see that Bokuwas has, well, before they end up like going, we see that Bokuwas is absorbing all different a whole bunch of different gears. He's absorbing all these gears and things like that, and we see that one of the gears was Sentai world. So I guess that's the world we saw in the first episode when we see Kiramager Red. We see him, and they see that world get taken over and you know, taken over. So I guess that's the world, that one of those worlds, that's one of the worlds that he is end up absorbing. And we see that in the preview for next week's episode, where he is like a whole new form and everything, and he has like a gear for Go Red in his chest, but we'll get to that later. But we see that one Kudax comes in, tells him that the Zenkaiger are here. We see the Zenkaiger ransacking through all these different Kikinoids, stuff like that, just busting through all of them. And I always wondered, like, why is the entire Kikinoid Toji Tendo base look like a big ass warehouse? Like it's just this really big freaking warehouse. Like everything just looks run down and stuff like that. Just this big rundown warehouse. But they're running through, and they're attacking it. Basically, they get to Bokuwas, and Bokuwas basically looks at them and says, "Hey, you guys are here too freaking early." And then he slams his hand. He does his classic hand slam on the table, and he goes in there. You see he is not blasting, but like kind of like a Mr. Burns. Mr. Burns floor trap, and they fall into this big like abyss, and they get kicked out of the palace, and they end up getting separated from each other. And it's Varum and Kaito. Varum and Kaito are together, and the other three, they're also together as well. And they see a bunch of Kikinoids there, and these Kikinoids are basically the Kikinoids that God, air quotes, God sent there. You know how he was sending Kikinoids back to where they belong, in his words. So they all get sent there. And while, you know, they're trying to get back in touch with each other, stuff like, they're trying to find each other and trying to basically get all the Kikinoids that have been sent here all together, we see that God himself, that he's back on Earth, and he ends up possessing like the old man that comes in there. I think it was Mr. Tao. Ends up possessing him, and ends up sending a bunch of more Kikinoids back to Kikaitopia. Well, not Kikaitopia, but send them back to the Toji Tendo. And when he sends them there, he basically sends them there. We don't see him again for like the rest of the episode. So, but yeah, well, until the end. But we also see that the rest of everybody's trying to get back together, and we see it's basically Stacy's mech, but in Ijiru's color scheme, and it looks really cool. I'm not a big fan of purple, but it looked really good in this. It looked really good on this bot, and he was very insanely powerful. And it's also using like the weapon it uses is like Ichiru's cane that he always has. I don't know why you need a cane when you like the entire lower half of your body is wheels, but whatever. So he is he's back in that. We see the only people that are there to basically battle him is Varum and not Varum, Majin Gaon and Juren. So they all transform. They turn into their they're in the ranger forms, but like in their giant forms, and they're fighting him, and they're having a really hard time with him. He's just really insanely powerful. And we see Varum and Kaito. They end up linking back up, and we see Kaito pulling Varum out of all this debris and stuff like that. And they see that the rest of the team is fighting Ijiru. So they try to hitch up and try to go help him, but they get intercepted by Barashitara. And while they're trying to, Barashitara stops them from transforming entirely, and he ends up knocking their Gatlingers away from them, and they basically run away from Barashitara. They're running away from Barashitara. So we and also in this episode we resolve Stacy's story. We resolve Stacy's whole thing, and I love that. I love how we resolved Stacy's stuff. It was really nice to see Stacy come out and tell Grandma everything, and basically break down in front of her and see stuff, and watch her truly forgive him. And he tells her my real name is Stacy, and I've tried to kill Kaito and stuff, and I grew jealous of him because he had such beautiful, faithful people in his life. He had you, and he had a beautiful place to call home, and I never had that, and stuff like that. We see the different words he's had with other characters in the series, but Grandma's words meant the most to him. So here Kaito's words, Zox's words, his mother's words, even though it wasn't really her, it was still her words, and he heard those words. He heard even better words from Nechan, Grandma, and it was a very good scene. It was a very beautiful scene, and that's when she tells Stacy you go help them, and I want you to come back here with them, and then I'll make your usual stuff and stuff like that. He's like, yeah. So he leaves and goes to help them out, and we see that Varum and Kaito basically get cornered by Barashitara, and then they end up getting saved by Stacy and Seichan actually came with Stacy, and we see Seichan, he gets in on the fight and stuff like that, which is really cool and cute. I love Seichan, and they ended up saving Kaito and Varum. So while they end up saving Kaito and Varum, we see them running from, they're saved by Kaito, and when they're saved by Stacy, and Stacy tells them everything. He says, yeah, I told Grandma everything. I told her my real name and everything. And I thought being a Toji Tendo was cool and stuff like that. And we get reminded that Varum was also Toji Tendo, but you can't relate the two, because we both used to work here, but at the same time I was top 5, top 4 generals out here, stuff like that. I've fought people, I've potentially killed people, taken over worlds, stuff like that. And Varum was just mopping floors. Varum was a janitor and had no respect. So it was funny at the same time. I'm like, Varum, you can't do this, dude. You're not the same. So what happens is we see that they end up getting intercepted again by Barashitara, and it makes sense that Barashitara found him so quickly, because this basically is his house. He from here. He know the nooks and crannies of stuff. So he ends up seeing them again, intercepting them again, and they basically get ready to fight him. But we see the pirate family. The pirate family comes in. We see all 4 of them, and we get to the fight between Barashitara, Stacy, and Zox. So Zox and Stacy teaming up to fight Barashitara, which is absolutely freaking dope. But hey, man, Barashitara ain't nothing to mess with, man. This guy may be a big brute, but this big brute can fight. This is a general. He been around a long time. He's seen a lot of fights, man. So it's gonna be really tough to take down Barashitara. And with these sometimes grudges and stuff they have with each other, with Zenkaiger being so silly most of the time, you forget about the fact that they have grudges against some of these characters. Zox kind of has a gripe with Barashitara, and we know Stacy has a huge gripe with Barashitara because that's his freaking dad. So you kind of forget that because, you know, so much of Zenkaiger is silly, so much of it is comedy, and so much of it is silly, and the serious stuff sometimes gets put on the back burner a lot of the time, and it sucks some of the time. But they end up fighting him, and Flint and Ricky and Katana, they're kind of there. Rome and Kaito, they end up leaving and trying to, you know, get back outside so they can try and help the rest of the team out. So we see some Kikanoids, they're there, and they're watching, you know, the rest of the team fight Ichidude, and one of them ends up finding the Gatlingers. They find the Gatlingers, and they actually try to use the Gatlingers themselves, but they end up messing that up. So that's when Varun and Kaito get there, they get the Gatlingers back from them, and then that's when they end up transforming and going to help the rest of the team. And they end up fighting Ichidude. They end up doing their full Megazord forms. No Ultra Zord in this episode. We saw the plane, like the gun, like the plane, we saw that, but no Ultra Zord in this episode, which is kind of cool with. Also, Ichidu summoned like a random Kudai Desk. It was just a base Kudai Desk, so they will also, so the rest of the team are fighting Ichidu and this Kudai Desk as well. But also, like, I'm like, you guys can't take down this freaking Kudai Desk. They're kind of weak without when they're not using like a power. So it's like kind of weird to see them kind of like getting hit by like a regular Kudai Desk. But once everybody gets back together, they one-shot this Kudai Desk, and I was like, thank God. You know, one-shotting him, and they're fighting Ichidu and stuff like that. We also get reminded of the grudge and gripe that Kaito has with Ichidu, saying like, you know, you kidnapped my parents, you stole this technology, you brainwashed my dad, turned him into a cyborg, all that stuff. And you forget about that stuff. You forget about it because, like, those are like plot points and stuff that they didn't super expand on. So yeah, like, it's weird, but at the same time, I was a little bit underwhelmed. This is a great episode, but I was a little bit underwhelmed by that whole thing with Kaito and stuff like that. And it made sense. It made sense and stuff like that, but at the same time, it's like, you know, they're talking like all kind of ish to Ichidu, talking about how he's such an evil person, he did this and that, and they end up overall taking out Ichidu, which is also kind of, you know, underwhelming as well. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was a great fight, but it was also underwhelming because, you know, Ichidu really, what is this, like his second outing, maybe like his second outing of him like actually doing something outside of him sending Kudai Desk and worlds and stuff. So it's like, yeah, but other than that, I feel like a part of me says that Ichidu isn't gone, but with the way he died, I feel like, yeah, Ichidu's gone. So he screams he screams Bokuwasa's name before he dies. So, but yeah, after that we see the rest of the team. They're like, oh, they run off in their Zord forms to the Toji Tendo base. So we go back to Zulks and Stacy fighting Bar Shitara, and they're getting their butts whooped. So next episode we are going to see them actually take down Bar Shitara, and also take down the also fight Bokuwas after he's done absorbing all these gears. He's gonna have a full body now, and he's like, oh, you gotta see the power of my royal blood, which we never expounded upon that either, the fact that Bokuwas is like part of a royal family. So we didn't, you know, we haven't seen any of that as well. But while, you know, those two are fighting Bar Shitara, we see that Flint, like Ricky and Katana, they notice that Flint is gone. And we see that God the God dude has basically infected, well, basically possessed Flint. And now he's like, okay, I didn't think they were going to come back. I didn't think they were going to come back here, but that's good for me because now I can possess her and use her knowledge, you know, to do something. Like, he's looking at this big gear, like, just basically this big gear looking thing in the sky, basically inside of the Toji Tendo base. So yeah, he's possessed Flint, and he's going to use her knowledge to do something. We don't know yet, but maybe this will further some stuff with Dawn Brothers. But yeah, man, the basic episode ends off right there, and this is a great episode, even though it has some underwhelming moments, but I like how it resolved a lot of things and stuff like that when it comes down to it. And I'm really excited for the next episode. I mean, this is the most excited I've been for a finale, but other than that, like, I'm really really happy. I'm really happy to see what they're gonna do next, especially with this God guy and stuff like that. And also, I really want Gigi to talk to Seichan. Like, I really do. Like, there's something. Like, these two birds have to have some kind of connection with each other. Like, that's one thing I really want to know. Like, what's the connection between Seichan and Gigi? Like, I want to know. But also, you guys, let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think about this episode of Zenkaiger. How are you excited? Was it good? Are you excited for next week's episode? You guys let me know, and I'll see you guys next time. And remember, stay henshined.